Warning. Actonville TV disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the host, authors, and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of any religious affiliation.
Vanakkam, Namaste, Namaskaram, Sai Ram, Jai Shri Ram, Swamiye Saramayappa, Har Har Mahadeva. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the show. You're currently streaming live with us in the Major South on Actonville TV. It's for everyone. This is a show called The Journey, and it's about exploring Hinduism as a whole. I'm your host, Kimera, Heeralal, and if you want to join the conversation, please do, and use the comment section and just comment and freely share your wisdom, your beliefs, or just a beautiful Vanakkam or Namaste will do. Now, that's how you interact with us in studio today. We are streaming live. You can join the conversation. This is an educational platform, guys. You are welcome to share your views, your opinions as well, even your granny's tales, things that your grandmothers taught you as you were growing up about Hinduism. Don't forget though, if you want to, comment or share your views anonymously, you are allowed to use our WhatsApp line, which you'll find at the bottom right of the screen of the entire show, and share your views. Alright, so as you know, this is episode 124. It is tagged on the link, and this is Shiva Part 2, as we did yesterday's episode, just Shiva. Now, this is Shiva Part 2. We have Shashi Gasai standing by, as she's going to educate you a little bit more on Shiva himself. And then we've got lots of bhajan entertainment for you guys, as well as we call it spiritual music in between our teachings. And then at the end of the show, we must teach you one principle from the 108 principles of the value system from the Tirukural. And then if you need any services that gurus need to assist you in performing, you can contact the two gurus which we keep on hand on the show. Alright, so let's start with our education. But before we do anything in Hinduism, as you know, in Hinduism you must stop with Lord Ganesha first, thank him and give him praise in anything that you do. As a Hindu, if you're watching the show, you know this. For those of you that didn't know, let's open up the show with Lord Ganesha this evening, and helping us to do that is Vijay Ramkisun as he praises Lord Ganesha.
जय गणेश जय गणेश जय गणेश देवा, माता जाके पार्वती पिता महादेवा। ओ जय गणेश जय गणेश जय गणेश देवा, माता जाके पार्वती पिता महादेवा। दयावंत चार भुजाधारी, एक दंत दयावंत चार भुजाधारी, माथे पर तिलक सोहे मूस की सवारी, रघुवन को भोग लगे शांति करे से पार्वती पिता महादेवा अंधे को आँख देख कोढ़न को काया भांजन को पुत्र देख निर्धन को माया सूर शाम शरण आए सफल कीजी सेवा लदवन को भोग लगे साथ करे सेवा जय गणेश जय गणेश जय गणेश देवा माता जाके पार्वती पिता महादेवा
Jai Ganesha! What a beautiful way to open up the show this evening. A big thank you goes to Vijay Ramkisun himself. It's such an honor and a pleasure to have a new life and a new artist helping us to open up the show this evening as we're growing as a station. Thank you so much, Vijay. It was an honor and a pleasure. Romanande. Alright, so let's continue with the show. Before we get to our teachings, as I know I want Shashik Asai to join our screens as I continue with part 2 of Shiva. It's titled Shiva Part 2 and it's episode 124 if you are searching for it a little bit later, guys. So before we get to it, let's take a quick break. Take a breather, guys. When we come back, we'll continue with Shiva Part 2.
See flooring differently. Innova Floor Santon. Contact us today.
Vanakkam, Namaste, Namaskaram, Sai Ram, Jai Shri Ram, Swamiye Saranam Ayappa, Hare Hare Mahadeva. Welcome back, everybody. Alright, so thanks for joining the show. For those of you that just joined us, you know you're watching the Journey Show all about Hinduism, right? We're exploring it and educating on it as well. If you'd like to interact with us during the conversation and the teachings, please do so in the comment section. If you wish to keep yourself anonymous, you're welcome to use our WhatsApp line. Alright, so let's get straight into it. We're talking about Shiva Part 2 today, episode 124. Make a note of it if you are following our teachings. And let me give you a brief summary of what happened yesterday. So we spoke about the origins of Shiva, basically. I also mentioned everything about his description. Again, I wish I had a picture of Lord Shiva on your left, my right, to show you what he looks like. I should have discussed this with the team earlier. Okay, but we spoke about the affiliation, the abode, his mantra as well. We also went forward to mention his history and his other names. We educated you very in depth about that as well. A little bit of a difficult topic for myself, but it seemed that I delivered it quite well. Okay, then we moved on to the historical development and the literature of Shiva, which was quite interesting because we decided to move on to the assimilations of traditions as well as the pre-Vedic elements, and we did not complete it. But before we get to that, I would like to wish a very, very special person, which is the neighbor of Attenville TV, Dashni Manikam, a very happy 21st birthday to you, girl. May all of our Samis and deities bless you with all of the love, happiness, joy and prosperity in your life, especially with your health. God bless you and may you see many, many more. Happy birthday from myself, Kimera, Heeralal and the team. Happy birthday, Joel. Alright, so let's get into it. Now, I'm going back to, I'm scrolling with my notepad, right? So we were going to move into the assimilation of the traditions of Shiva, right? Join the conversation, feel free to interact with us. So I'm going to give you a quick brief as we go through, or I might decide to go right through with it, right? But if this does happen, we'll have to continue with the part 3, okay? Now, the assimilation of traditions. Now, the Shiva-related tradition is a major part of Hinduism, right? And it's found all over the Indian subcontinent, such as India, which I mentioned yesterday, as well as Nepal, Sri Lanka, and Southeast Asia, such as Bali and Indonesia. Now, Shiva has pre-Vedic tribal roots, having his origins and primitive tribe signs and symbols. I think I also mentioned that yesterday. I also continue to tell you guys the figure of Shiva is as he is known today. As you can see, there's a picture of him on your left, on the left of your screen, and this is what Shiva looks like. There we go. Thank you so much, Mr. Andy Poonen, for helping me out with your graphics. Okay, so that's what Lord Shiva looks like. It would have been nice to also have him yesterday. Sorry, we had a bit of technical difficulties with our machine yesterday, but I see that we are able to carry a Lord Shiva on the screens today. Okay, that's what he looks like. So, looking at his picture now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to scroll back up to what he's holding in his hand, and so I can explain it properly today. Okay, so if you look at the weapons, the Trishula, okay, you can see his picture, you can see the Trishula, you can see the Pashupatasra, and the Parishu, and the Panaku bow. I'm sure it looks quite interesting, right? So, if we continue with the education of it today, we're moving to the Vedic tribal roots. Now, as I was saying, having his origins in primitive tribe signs and symbols. Now, the figure of Shiva, as he's known today, is an amalgamation of various older deities into single figure due to the process of Sanskritization and emergence of the Hindu synthesis. Now, in post-Vedic times, this is how it was explained. How the persona of Shiva converged as a composite deity is not well documented. As you can see, I'm actually struggling to deliver this show, especially yesterday. I had a lot of trouble with speaking about it in English. It was so hard to actually transcribe from Sanskrit to English, and it's I hope you guys can vouch for me. If they comment at the bottom of the screen, tell me what you think of part 1, which was episode 123, and I will better the show as we go along. Alright, so let's move on, let's move on to pre-Vedic elements, right? So there's something called prehistoric art. Now, scholars have interpreted early prehistoric paintings at the Bhumbekta rock shelters, considered to be from 10,000 BCE period, that time. Now, as Shiva's dancing, Shiva's trident, that looks like a fork in his hand, yeah. And his Mount Nandi, everybody knows Nandi. A lot of people thought, and I was one of them, that thought that Nandi was a cow first, but it's actually a bull. So now if you look at his appearance, rock paintings from the Bhumbekta, depicting a figure with a trident or a trishula has been described as Nadaraja. Now, by Erwin Nomeya, I found my research by a gentleman named Erwin Nomeya, who dates them back to the Mesolithic time. Now, before I continue with the Indus Valley, I have a Shashi Gosai standing by, educating us of who is the god of dance, Shiva, Nadaraja, the history of Nadaraja, the dancing Hindu god Shiva.
Namaste, I'm Shashi Gosai. Today I would like to discuss perhaps one of the most iconic figures in Hinduism, and that's the Lord of the Dance, the Nataraja. Let's find out more about him. Hinduism dates more than 5,000 years, and our ancient scriptures, the Vedas, have got huge texts on the music, dance, the creation and destruction of our universe. The great Hindu god Shiva has got many guises and shapes and the way we meditate to him. Perhaps one of the most famous ones is the famous dancing figure in a circle of fire. Most people have probably seen this in restaurants, in temples, in spiritual shops, museums, and is very famous all over the world. This is the Shiva Nataraja, the Lord of Dance. And this pose is called the Natya Shastra. So let's talk about it. Nataraja is a Sanskrit word and is made of two words. So we have Nata, which means dance or drama, and Raja, which means king or lord. So Nataraja means the Lord of Dance. Lord Shiva has been symbolized as an embodiment of energy. His powerful dance is an example of the immense energy and the power that he possesses. So if you think this dance is simple, think again. We're going to dissect it and see how it's done and why it's so special. On June 18, 2004, a 2-meter high statue of the Indian deity Lord Shiva in the form of Natraja, which is a lord of dance, was unveiled at the European Center for Research in Particle Physics in Geneva in Switzerland. Well, you might wonder why a Hindu god got such a prestigious place and the history and the science behind it. Well, let's have a look. The unique feature in the Natraja is attaining equilibrium. The statue had to be precisely carved so that the foot had to bear the entire load of the whole statue. So you can imagine the mechanics and the mathematics that went behind creating such a huge monumental structure that has been done for centuries. The center of gravity was worked out, and a straight line from the Lord's head tip to the toe was drawn, and the stone was carved along a helical string, very much like our DNA. Surprisingly, even the length scale is exactly the same as our human DNA. So can you imagine? This was worked out 5,000 years ago. An even more fascinating fact is that the length of the distance from the third eye to the heart is exactly in the same dimension, scaled down version of the distance from the sun to the earth. So look at the marvelous thought that went on. The physicists discovered a parallel between Shiva's cosmic dance and the dance of the subatomic particles. This was first published by Mr. Kimera in an article called The Dance of Shiva, the Hindu view of matter in the light of modern physics. And I'll quote, "Modern physics has shown that the rhythm of creation and destruction is not only manifest in the turn of the seasons and in the birth and death of living creatures, but is also the very essence of every inorganic matter." How profound is that? So what is so fascinating about this iconic figure? What makes it so special and mesmerizing? One of the first figurines were found in the 6th century in a temple sculpture in a village near Odisha. 9th and 10th century artists made a series of beautiful bronze sculptures which were found throughout India, Southeast Asia, right up to Indonesia. Natraja became the statement of Hindu art. It was and still is, and it always will be. Shiva's cosmic dance symbolizes the interaction between the static and the dynamic flow of energy. It's called the Tandava or the dance of bliss. It symbolizes the cosmic cycles of creation and destruction, the daily rhythm of birth and death. The two most common forms of Shiva's dance are the Lasya Nadana, which is a couple's dance of peace and love, which he performs with his wife Parvati. It's a gentle form of dance associated with the creation of the world. The more vigorous form of the dance is called the Tandav, and is associated with the destruction of the old and the weary. The dance depicts 5 types of eternal energy, or Panchkritya, and that is creation, destruction, preservation, salvation, illusion. So let's see how these are depicted. The entire figurine shows a perfect harmony of inner tranquility with the outer frenzy of movement. He dances within a circular arch of flames called Prabha Mandala, which symbolically represents the cosmic fire that consumes all and creates all, depicting the cycle of life. In his upper hand, he holds a damaru, a small drum signifying rhythm and time. It was the first sound of creation and also represents the heartbeat of the cosmos. In his left hand, he contains the divine fire, which signifies the final destruction, after which a new world will arise. His lower right hand shows the Abhaya Mudra, a gesture of blessing which calms all fear and bestows protection from both evil and ignorance. His lower left hand points towards the raised foot, which signifies upliftment and salvation. It also crosses the chest, concealing the heart. This represents occlusion and concealment. The dwarf on which Shiva dances is the demon Apsara, and it symbolizes Shiva's victory over ignorance. The snake around his waist is called Kundalini, and it's the Shakti or the divine force thought to reside within all of us. The Ganga in his hair is a symbolic gesture of calming the mighty river before it streams down to earth. His legs are bent, which suggests an energetic dance. His dance is so vigorous that his hair, which is usually in matted locks coiled on his head, becomes loose and flies about him. The face shows two eyes, plus a third eye which is slightly open on his forehead. The eyes represent the sun, the moon, and the third interprets the inner eye or the symbol of knowledge which is within us and which is there for us seeking. On his head, there's a skull which symbolizes his conquest over death. Shivji usually wears jewelry with only a short dhoti which is tied around his waist with a little sash, and the two ends of these actually join onto the ring of fire. The whole idol rests on a lotus pedestal, which is a symbol of the creative forces of the whole universe. The figure of Shiv Nataraja is perhaps the most famous and important iconic representation of Hinduism around the world. Bronze sculptures are still made throughout India, and especially in Chidambaram, where, as ancient legend has it, it's where Lord Shiva performed this cosmic dance, the dance of creation and destruction. So a very important area and part of India one should really visit if you would like to see the beginning of Shiva and how it has created and impacted the whole world. Amazing, isn't it? So that was the story of the Lord of the Dance. An amazing feat, something that's been going on for more than 5,000 years. Still going on, will always go on. Well, I hope you enjoyed listening to the little snippet of Hinduism. I do hope to bring you more. This is Shashi Gosai. Thank you.
Shashi Gosai helping us and educating you on Lord Shiva episode 124, Shiva Part 2. Nishi Heeralal coming in through YouTube as she shares her love with. Good evening, Kimera. Namaste, Nishi. Welcome to the show. We are talking about your main man today, as you call it, Lord Shiva. Alright, so Shashi Gosai and I have taken you through a lot. We are sharing with you that this is a difficult topic to cover. And I see she took it more general, towards more generalizing with Shiva. She made it easy for herself. As yesterday's show, everybody clearly saw how difficult it is to actually put together the scientific part of Shiva. Every other deity, you noticed that I feel I did a good job teaching you guys, educating you guys. And putting that work together was, I won't say easy, but it was much simpler. It's a lot of hard work behind the scenes before we go live here in studio, guys. And if you noticed yesterday's show, I was struggling to pronounce the words correctly, but to deliver the information without confusing you was the toughest part, but I'm still taking this challenge on. Nishi Heeralal coming in through YouTube. Shivaji is the greatest. Yes, he is. He is the king of kings, Nishi Heeralal. Thank you for sharing your wisdom. If there's anything you want to share about Lord Shiva himself, Nishi Heeralal, please feel free to educate us, as this is a very, very complicated deity to educate people on. Especially there's science behind it, there's Vedic astrology behind it, and there's the general conversations which Shashi Gosai covered. And Shashi, if you are watching the show, ma'am, you took all the easy one. But it was brilliant delivery. Thank you so much. We give you thanks from South Africa all the way to London. Thank you so much. Alright, so before we continue with the show, I decided to take the toughest part of explaining and delivering the teachings on Lord Shiva, as I have chosen the pre-Vedic elements, which is quite difficult. Coming up next, though, is Deshan Style and Naidu to keep your spiritual upliftments uplifted with Deshan Style and Naidu. Kanda Muruga Varuvaya.
Kanda Muruga Varuvaya. Pervei Arulvaye Kanda Muruga Varuvaye Shanti Pervei Arulvaye Kadavalla Vaalvendru Solvaye Kadithira Oru Paadai Arulvaye நிழலை ஆடுதே எனதாகி வந்தால் உனதாகி வாழ்வேன் எனதாகி வந்தால் உனதாகி வாழ்வேன் நீ சொன்ன பதியே நான் ஆடுவேன் நீ சொன்ன பதியே நான் ஆடுவேன் நீ சொன்ன பதியே நான் ஆடுவேன் கந்தா முருகா வருவாயே சாந்தி பெறவை அருள்வாயே இத கனவல்ல வாழ்வென்று சொல்வாயே கடை தீர ஒரு பாதை அருள்வாயே கந்தா முருகா வருவாயே சாந்தி பெறவை அருள்வாயே
Vetrivel Muruganuku Arogara. Beautiful rendition and delivery by Deshan Style and Naidu as he praises the Lord Muruga. Beautifully done. Thank you, Deshan. Alright, so a lot of people have been WhatsApping the station, and the team behind the camera, they're all like, why don't you leave the pre-Vedic assimilations of Shiva for another show, and we'll have guests come in and deliver their views, their beliefs, and their granny's tales too, to educate on the Vedic astrology, as it's a very sensitive topic to many. Alright, also had a comment coming in through WhatsApp as anonymous, as they have corrected me that the trident is actually referred to as a sulam, a solo weapon in Shiva's language. So I've been very, very well corrected by Anonymous. Thank you, Anonymous, for that. But it is a trident in the English-speaking world. Yeah? Alright, so before we continue with the position of Shiva in Hinduism, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue with our educational platform. Vanakkam, Namaste, Namaskaram, Sai Ram, Jai Shri Ram, Swamiye Saranam Ayyappa. Har Har Mahadev. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome to the show for those of you just joining. Alright, don't forget, you are still live with us in Malaysia South. We're still on Actonville TV. It's for everyone. And you're still watching The Journey Show, Exploring Hinduism. Alright, now let's continue with Shiva Part 2's episode, right? Now, I mean, we've been through a lot. I decided to keep the Vedic astrology part for a better day on another show. That is a lot of information to deliver in 1 hour. And if I try to summarize it, I don't think you'll understand it. It's very complicated. As Shiva himself is a very complicated deity to understand completely. Remember, whenever I say we're about exploring Hinduism as a whole, I try to deliver my teachings on a broad level, not just saying, okay, I'm only a Tamil person, I'm only a Gujarati person. I try to broaden it over Hinduism as a whole, especially when I deliver my education. Alright, sorry guys, there's a mosquito in the studio. Alright, so let's talk about the position of Shiva within Hinduism, right? Now, let's start off with Shaivism first, and then we can do Vaishnavism, right? Okay, let's start there. I hope I can deliver this cleanly and effectively. All right, so Shaivism, let's start there. Okay, remember what we were talking about now. We're talking about the position of Shiva in Hinduism now. Now, Shaivism is one of the four major sects of Hinduism. So there are four, right? Let's start with Shaivism. So Shaivism is one of the four major sects of Hinduism. The others being Vaishnavism actually, they pronounce it that way, Shaktism, and the Smarta tradition. Followers of Shaivism called Shaivas, okay, revere Shiva basically as the supreme being, obviously. Now, Shaivas believe that Shiva is all and in all, the creator, the preserver, the destroyer, the revealer, and the concealer of all that is. He is not only the creator in Shaivism, but he is also the creation that results from him. He is everything and everywhere. Shiva is the primal self, the pure consciousness and absolute reality in the Shaiva traditions. Now, the Shaivism theology is broadly grouped into two, right? The popular theology influenced by Shiva Rudra in the Vedas, epics and the Puranas, and the esoteric theology influenced by the Shiva, or should I say the Shiva and the Shakti. Related tantras. You know, you get those related tantras in texts. That's what I'm talking about. Now, the Vedic Brahmanic Shiva theology includes both the monist, meaning the Advaita, and the devotional traditions, Dvaita, such as Tamil Shiva, they call it Tamil Shiva Siddhanta, and the Lingayatism, with temples featuring items such as Linga, Shiva Parvati iconography, the bull Nandi within the premises, relief artwork showing aspects of Shiva. Now, the Tantric Shiva tradition the Tantric Shiva tradition ignored the mythologies and the Puranas related to Shiva, and depending on the sub-school developed a variety of practices. For example, historical records suggest that the Tantric Kapalikas, literally the skull men, if you want to call it, coexisted with and shared many Vajrayana Buddhist rituals, engaged in esoteric practices that revered Shiva and Shakti wearing skulls, begged with empty skulls, and sometimes used meat as a part of ritual. Now, in contrast, the esoteric tradition with Kashmir Shaivism has featured the Krama and Trika sub-traditions. The Krama sub-tradition focused on esoteric rituals around Shiva Kali pair. The Trika sub-tradition developed a theology of triads involving Shiva, combined it with an ascetic lifestyle focusing on personal Shiva in the pursuit of monistic self-liberation. Now, before anybody decides to just shout at me and say that's not true, this is not true, what I want to share with you is this is the research I've put together. This is going to be Shiva Part 2. As you'll know, you're watching Shiva Part 2. What I want you guys to know is that there is going to be a Part 3 with different views and opinions. Like, we will invite Dr. P.K. Maestri. I would also love to invite a Guru Sivaraman if he'll have us. I would also like, if Guru Indresan has the time, and Guru Prega as well, it would be nice to invite different individuals from different places of Joburg and grow the station as well. I'll end up having Shiva Part 10, I promise you that. It's very, very intense and very complicated to talk about Lord Shiva and the different beliefs that come from different religions and different people. We've got Ribash Hemraja coming in through YouTube, sharing his love. Vanakkam Kimera, Kyle here. Vanakkam. Thank you, Kyle, for joining the show. Join the conversation. Share your wisdom, as this is part 2 of the Lord Shiva teachings on here on Atonville TV. All right, so now we just completed a quick summary of Shaivism. I would like to continue with Vaishnavism. Well, it's called Vaishnavism. Interact with us in studio today as we are, well, we're enjoying the educational part, and I'd love for everyone to interact with us. Kyle, if you're still there, interact with us in studio. Nishi, if you're still there, join the conversation. If you are a true devotee of Lord Shiva, share with us your wisdom as we're educating the public, as well as me, about Shiva. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue with Vaishnavism straight after this commercial break.
See flooring differently. Innova Floor Santam. Contact us today.
Vanakkam, Namaste, Namaskaram, Sai Ram, Jai Shri Ram, Swami Saranam Har Har Mahadev. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back, Kyle. Welcome back, Nishi. Thank you guys so much for joining the show. You're still currently watching the journey as we explore Hinduism right here on Attenville TV. Alright, so Kyle, if you are around the nation south, it would be nice if you join us in the studio. We're talking about Shiva, but since you can't, I can see that you borrowed somebody's phone just to watch the show. I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. Okay, so we did very well in delivering, well, the first piece of Shiva. Okay, we spoke about Shaivism. Now, let's move on to Vaishnavism. Difficult task. Okay. Alright, if you know more than me, if you can deliver it better than me, please copy and paste it onto my chat. It would be awesome. Alright, let's go into Vaishnavism. Alright, now the Vaishnavism, meaning the Vishnu orientated literature, right? They acknowledge these people actually acknowledge and discuss Shiva. Alright, like Shiva literature that presents Shiva as the supreme. Now the Vaishnava literature presents Vishnu as the supreme. Now, no fighting, no arguing. We are educating about the Vaishnavism, right? So now, these people obviously they say Vishnu is supreme. However, both traditions are pluralistic, and they revere both Shiva and Vishnu along with Devi. We must add Devi there. Their texts do not show the exclusivism. And the Vaishnava texts, such as the Bhagavata Purana, while praising Krishna as the ultimate reality, also present Shiva and Shakti as a personalized form and equivalent to the same ultimate reality. Now the text of Shaivism tradition, similarly praise Vishnu, right? And I explained that one script in English for you with Vishnu and Shiva in the same, right? Now the Skanda Purana, for example, states Vishnu is no one but Shiva, and he who is called Shiva is but identical with Vishnu. Right. Okay, so in the Skanda Purana, it's 1.8.20. You can check that out yourself if you do have a Skanda Purana laying around, or a person that has one. Check this out. The Skanda Purana, I'm going to tell you again. It states that Vishnu is no one but Shiva, and he who is called Shiva is but identical with Vishnu. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so both traditions now, right? Both traditions, I'm talking about Shaivism and Vaishnavism. Okay? Now both traditions include legends about who is superior. We all know this, right? Now, about you know, there was this both traditions, right, when they include both being superior, about Shiva paying homage to Vishnu and then Vishnu paying homage to Shiva. Now, however, in text and artwork of other traditions, the mutual salutes are symbolism for complementarity. Now, the Mahabharata declares the unchanging ultimate reality, Brahman, right? To be identical to Shiva and to Vishnu. And that Vishnu is the highest manifestation of Shiva. And Shiva is the highest manifestation of Vishnu. Make sense? Yes. Let's move along to Shaktism. Now, the goddess-orientated Shakti tradition of Hinduism is based on the premise that the supreme principle and the ultimate reality called Brahman is female, Devi, right? But it treats the male as her equal and complementary partner. This partner is Shiva. Now, the earliest evidence of the tradition of reverence for the feminine with Rudra Shiva context, it is found in the Hindu scripture Rig Veda in a hymn called the Devi Sukta. Now, the Devi Upanishad is, in its explanation of the theology of Shaktism, mentions and praises Shiva, such as its verse 19. Now, Shiva, along with Vishnu, is revered God in the Devi Mahatmya, a text of Shaktism considered by the tradition to be as important as the Bhagavad Gita. The Ardhanarisvara concept commingles God Shiva and Goddess Shakti by representing an icon that is half man and half woman, a representation and theme of union found in many Hindu texts and temples. Now we come to the Smarta tradition. Now, in the Smarta tradition of Hinduism, Shiva is a part of Panchayatana Puja. This practice consists of the use of icons or anicons of 5 deities considered equal. And it is set in a concurrence-like pattern, right? Shiva is one of the 5 deities, others being Vishnu, right? Devi, such as Parvati, Surya, and Ganesha, or Skanda, or any personal god of devotee's preference, Ishtavata. Now, philosophically, the Smarta tradition emphasizes that all idols, meaning murtis, okay, are icons to help focus on and visualize aspects of Brahman rather than distinct beings. The ultimate goal in this practice is to transition past the use of icons, recognize the absolute symbolized by the icons on the path to realizing the non-dual identity of one's Atman, self, and the Brahman. Now, popularized by Adi Shankara, many Panchayatana mandalas and temples have been uncovered that are from the Gupta Empire period. And one Panchayatana set from the village of Nand, about 24 kilometers from Ajmer, has been dated to belong to the Kushan Empire era. That was about pre-300 CE. Now, the Kushan period sets includes Shiva, Vishnu, Surya, Brahma, and one deity whose identity is very unclear. Now, as we are continuing to educate you on Lord Shiva himself, I think this was a beautiful delivery before I close this sector. As I did mention, we are talking about the position of Shiva within Hinduism. Quick summary or recap of what we just discussed was Shaivism, right? Then we moved to Vaishnavism, and then we moved to Shaktism, right? And then we ended off with Smarta tradition. Now, I hope that everything was delivered well. Let's move along with a beautiful spiritual uplifting song before we move on to yoga. Coming up next is Baby Nishara from Deshan Stanider's Music Academy with Mahadeva Maheshwara Sai Narayana.
महादेवा महेश्वरा साई नारायणा करुणाकरा अखिलेश्वरा साई नारायणा करुणाकरा अखिलेश्वरा साई नारायणा अल्लाह तुम महावीर येसु साई नारायणा अल्लाह तुम महावीर येसु साई नारायणा हृदयेश्वरा परमेश्वरा साई नारायणा हृदयेश्वरा परमेश्वरा साई नारायणा महादेवा महेश्वरा साई नारायणा महादेवा महेश्वरा साई नारायणा साई नारायणा साई नारायणा
Hari Hari Mahadev. What a beautiful delivery as we had baby Nashara from Starless Music Academy in Durban as she just delivered to you Mahadeva Maheshwara Sai Narayana. Let's take a quick break and we come back. We'll continue with our Shiva Part 2 teachings, episode 124.
Get your business to the next level. Advertise on TV. Contact Kimera.
Vanakkam, Namaste, Namaskaram, Sai Ram, Jai Shri Ram, Swami Mayappa. Hari Hari Mahadev. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the teachings of Shiva Part 2, episode 124. As we are, almost done with teaching Part 2 of Shiva's teachings today. And we will continue Part 3 if it may carry on Part 4. As I know, Shiva has a lot. It's a very complicated deity to educate on. So I'm not saying complicated to follow, I'm saying complicated to teach about, because there's so much behind him. You need days and days of teachings just to talk about just Shiva himself. Okay. So as we were cutting to baby Nashara's song and we were praising and worshipping him, it's been complicated because we had yesterday, and Shashi Gosai helped me with both shows. We went a little bit simple and then we went into the mathematical part of things, and now there's also Vedic astrology. There's lots of science behind Lord Shiva, as a lot of people believe he is everything, right? Then I just finished explaining to you the Smarta tradition, as I wanted to educate each and every one of you about the position of Shiva within Hinduism, right? So before we close off this episode on Shiva, let's talk a bit about a short snippet of yoga. Now, Shiva, right, is considered the great yogi who is totally absorbed in himself. The transcendental reality, the transcendental reality rather, is that he is the Lord of yogis, right, and the teacher of yoga to sages. Now, as Shiva Dakshinamurti states, Stella Kramrish, he is the supreme guru who teaches in silence the oneness of one's innermost self, Atman. with the ultimate reality, Brahman. Now, Shiva is also an archetype, of a samhara, meaning in Sanskrit, right? Or should they say in dissolution, which includes transcendence of human misery by dissolution of Maya, which is why Shiva is associated with yoga. Now, the theory and the practice of yoga in different styles has been a part of all major traditions of Hinduism. And Shiva has been the patron of spokesperson in numerous Hindu yoga texts. Now, these contain the philosophy and techniques for yoga. These ideas are estimated to be from or after the late centuries of first millennium CE, and have survived as yoga texts such as the Ishvara Gita, literally Shiva songs, which Andrew Nicholson, a professor of Hinduism and Indian intellectual history, states have had a profound and lasting influence on the development of Hinduism. Then there's other famed people, others who famed Shiva-related texts, as the Hatha Yogas. Okay, we'll get more into that as we do a full show on yoga as well. And then I want to move on to quickly the Trimurti. Now, the Trimurti is a concept in Hinduism in which the cosmic functions of creation, and if you look at it, the Trimurti, right? Okay, as I was saying, let me try this again to phrase it better. The Trimurti is a concept in Hinduism in which cosmic functions of creation, maintenance, and destruction are personified by the forms of Brahma, the creator, Vishnu, the maintainer or preserver, and Shiva, the destroyer or transformer. These three deities have been called the Hindu triad, or the great triple deity. However, the ancient and medieval texts of Hinduism feature many triads of gods and goddesses, some of which do not include Shiva. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, as we've come towards the end of the show, I'd like to thank each and every one of you who have interacted with us in studio today and commented at the bottom of the screen in the comment section. Thank you so much. Also, a very big thank you to the comments that came through our WhatsApp line that wished to stay anonymous. Thank you for educating us on the solo today. It was quite educational. All right, so don't forget, I would like to conclude and close the Shiva Part 2 episode right here on the Journey Show on Actonville TV. We will continue to have a Part 3, a Part 4, as there are a lot to teach and learn about Lord Shiva himself. When we come back, we will continue with the 108 principles of the value system from the Tirukkural. Let's take a quick break and we'll get just that.
Are you looking for transport from Lenasia south to surrounding areas for work? Look no further, contact Jones 083 298 5054.
Vanakkam, Namaste, Namaskaram, Sai Ram, Jai Shri Ram, Swamiye Saranam Ayyappa, Hare Hare Mahadeva. Welcome back, everybody. Alright, it's come to the time towards the end of the show where we must teach one lesson from the Tirukkural. So today, the 108 principles of the value system which come from the Tirukkural, today's lesson is sitting at number 44.
Today's lesson from the 108 principles of the value system from the Tirukkural is number 44. Strive for honor, dignity and self-respect.
For those of you who are looking for a guru to perform certain services which I know you cannot do on your own, please contact Guru Indresan to assist you with the Jandagam, known as the astrological readings of Panjagam. He can also assist you with your Navagra Shanti, house prayers, business prayers, car prayers, temple and hall weddings, ceremonies like your 16 days in your 1 year, your Janda prayers, your auspicious Hawans, as well as your Kumbha Abhishekams. Please contact Guru Indresan on 081 325 0115. I'll give you the number again at 081 325 0115. Now, if you need to go a little bit more in depth and need a Guru prayer, he can assist you with the following, like the astrological readings, the spiritual cleansings, the house prayers, your business prayers, your car prayers, your temple and hall weddings as well, your funerals, your ceremonies, like your 16 days in your 1 year, your auspicious hour ones. He can assist you with your trance and all different types of prayers, such as your Kali prayers, your porridge prayers, your midnight prayers, as well as your Murugan prayers. Please contact your Guru Prega on 082 578 3833. Alright, so for those of you who need to have a good laugh in the morning, Actonville TV is not all about spirituality and upliftment in religion. We also have lots of great humor in the morning at 8 a.m. every single weekday. If you can't catch it in the morning, you're welcome to just retrieve the link or subscribe to our YouTube channel, as we have the Crack of Dawn show early in the morning, which you might miss if you are working or studying. Join me at the Crack of Dawn, guys. We're going to talk about UFOs. I have to share with you, the Crack of Dawn show is actually a variety show. Okay, so when we open up the show and close the show, we open up the show with Wackett Simpson, who always plays pranks on people. I'm sure you must know him from 94.7. And then we have Auntie Sheila, a stand-up comedian from Durban, a quite popular chap, as you might know him. And we have music entertainment in between our shows, as everything that we do is all about teaching, but this show has great humor. And tomorrow's show has a little bit of far-fetched stories about UFOs and discovered things, but these are actually facts and information that we gather together as we do research and pull out NASA articles, and it gets fun. So the Journey show, yes, it is a spiritual show that happens in the evening, but in the morning, during the day, there's lots of laughs and lots of entertainment on the Crack of Dawn show, variety and English as well. Please join me in the morning at 8 a.m. If you can't catch it live on a weekday, click on the links and watch it again on weekends. Alright guys, well that's all the time we have for this evening. I hope you enjoyed the show and a little bit of wisdom on Lord Shiva himself, as this was episode 124, Shiva Part 2. Well, from myself, Kimera, Heeralal, we'll do this again tomorrow. Vanakkam, Namaste, Namaskaram, Sai Ram, Jai Shri Ram, Swami Saranam Mayappa, Har Har Mahadeva. Good night, everyone.